with Kanyon and a brief introductions, and then we're going to get into the presentation and the Acorn demo. After the presentation, you're going to have a chance to ask questions in the chat or raise your hand and we can pull your video up if you want to ask a question live. So I'm so honored to be here with my friends and family, Kanyon and Bernadette, and you all. Yahui, and I'll hand it over to Kanyon.
Pamasanak, Kanis, Tisina, thank you, or in Mutsun, it pleases me. It's the closest we got to thank you. Mishmin Tuhis, Kanarkat Kanyon, Coyote Woman, Sayers-Roods. I come from Indian Canyon Nation. My mother is Tribal Elder Anne Marie Sayers. I am a Mutsun Ohlone, California Indigenous activist, artist, and CEO of Kanyon Consulting. I am honored to be here and share space. Currently, I am in Tamian Ohlone territory, also known as Santa Clara Valley. My mother and my grandmother believe that when song, ceremony, and dancing stops, so does the earth. I too believe that. And through the work that we've been doing here, connecting with language and honoring food sovereignty and sacred living systems, I want to offer a coyote song, because when I was working with the language, this song came and I really want to celebrate that. So this is a little coyote song. I'll be using my regalia as an instrument, as Indigenous peoples don't wear costumes. And at the end of this song, I'm going to say, oh. I invite you all to say, oh, and let this song go out there and let the prayers connect, because we're in this digital circle together. So the elements that we could be connected is a good way. So this is Kanyon's Coyote song. Kan was mahetse wakshishe. Kan was mahetse wakshishe. Wakaniskuan, arakan waskuan. Wakaniskuan, arakan waskuan. Sawe, 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 sawe. Kan was mahetse wakshishe. Kan was mahetse wakshishe. Wakaniskuan, arakan waskuan. Wakaniskuan, arakan waskuan. Sawe, 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 sawe. Oh, oh, oh. This little song is in the Mutsun language, and it's explaining, I see it, the coyote. He says to me and I say to him, sing, sing, sing. And it is with that, we celebrate storytelling, we celebrate songs, we celebrate ceremony, and we're connected with food. And so I am honored to share space with our lovely sister, our relative, our strong Indigenous warrior woman, Bernadette Smith. I am so honored to be in this space with you, girl. So I want to bring you up to us, and thank you. Oh.
Oh. Oh. Everybody hear me? Everybody hear me? One sec. Sorry about that. Hello. Can everybody hear me? I can't hear anything. I'm sorry. On mute. It's on mute. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. You sound great.
Hello, hi. I'm having technical difficulties here. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Bernadette.
Oh. Manchester.
Bernadette, we're actually having a little bit of sound difficulties as soon as you started giving your introduction. Can you speak right now and say something? Yeah, we're having a hard time hearing you.
Hello?
We can hear you now.
Okay, great. So we're having some technical difficulties over here, so I'm gonna have to use this phone camera for now until we can get my laptop back on.
That's
Is that
fine. Yeah, that's better.
Okay, great. So like I said, my name is Bernadette Smith, and I'm from Manchester, Point Arena. My grandfather is from Manchester, and my grandmother's from Tisina. So I'm Coastal Pomo. I'm very happy and excited to be here with everybody, and I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. This is the first time I'm going to share my knowledge of Acorn, and I just wanted to let everybody know that this is the first time I'm doing something like this, and so I hope everybody can bear with me and bear with technical difficulties that we're probably going to continue to have throughout this demonstration. I wanted to introduce my cousin Shirley. I'm right here. She's also from Manchester, Point Arena, and she also is from Tisina. Okay, so I'm not sure. Is everything going good on which camera? I'm not sure which camera.
Bernadette, why don't we just use the cell phone camera and just use one camera, and then we'll have your tech person hold that one and follow you where you need to go.
Okay, great. So, yes, let me see. So I'd like to let you know a little bit about the work I've been doing with the Acorn, and thank you, Kanyon, for that beautiful song. It's always great to hear you sing, and I love sharing space with you as well. So my name, or excuse me, we're having a lot of technical difficulties over here, so I just want to apologize in advance. Okay, so basically, I'll just give you a little bit of history about the work I've been doing throughout these last few years. So I've been working closely with the Native youth and my teach them what I know about Acorn, along with learning alongside them. I've only been doing this. We're all learning together. That's what I like to tell my little cousin, that we all started this and we're continuing it, and it's been a very beautiful thing to see. And every year, a lot of people start gathering. They come out and help us gather, and it's just been a very strengthening. And then you can go ahead, Stella, with Stella.
Sorry, we couldn't hear you. Can you just repeat that? Are you ready to see the
Yes.
the slide? Okay.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Stella. So next slide, please. That's just a little introduction about me making Acorn mesh. Thank you. So this is going to talk a little bit about the work and collaborations that I've been doing for these last few years. Some of you maybe are tuning in from San Francisco, and you might be familiar with the Literacy for Environmental Justice out there in on the Bay of San Francisco. They were helped us to grow acorn trees, tan oak trees, to bring back to my community to replant, and hopefully that they are going to continue to grow and be healthy. I've also collaborated with Dancing Earth. It's Indigenous contemporary dance company. Actually, me and Shirley composed, along with creative direction from Rulon, about a dance about the acorn, and it's a really beautiful thing. We've also wrote a play where we have the kids from the reservation perform, and it talks about destruction of the acorn and deforestation and herbicide use, and what we can do as Native people to help with that. I also worked closely along with the federal government of the U.S. Air Force, Hill Air Force Base, where we were able to gain access to have an Acorn Festival on federal property, which they did not allow us in the beginning. There's a beautiful property located about 10 miles up from our reservation, and it's abundant with acorn trees, and we don't have any on our reservation. So we were, it was actually a for many tribes, not just my own, that would come and gather there and celebrate there during the Acorn Festival hundreds of years ago. So to be able to gain access to that space and hold a festival there these last 5 years was actually a great honor, and I'm very, very proud of the kids and the work that they did with that. Next slide, please. Yes, so we have also been involved, and Shirley's been hand in hand, and my son as well, he's over here in the background, and I'll tell you a little bit more about them in a moment. We would travel and do demonstrations and what I guess people call activism, basically raising awareness about the environment and what's happening to the Tano trees as far as deforestation and herbicide use within our own community. Some of the supporting groups such as Earth First and the Pacific Alliance for Environmental and Indigenous Action and Social Environmental Indigenous Justice are just a few of the groups that we've been working closely with throughout these past 5 years. So, and I also wanted to give a thank you to the Museum of San Ramon, who donated this beautiful, go ahead, Shirley, mortar and pestle for us to use for our last year's Acorn Festival. And we'd like to encourage more people, if you guys have access to these things or know somebody who's willing to part with them and to reunite them with Indigenous people like myself or like Shirley, we encourage you guys to go ahead and do that. You know, it's very important for these things to be used in the manner of which they were made for. I mean, they're beautiful to look at and to sit in museums, and we can all look and admire their beauty, which I love to do. And I appreciate the museums who kept them safe for all these years, but now that we need them back, we would definitely like to use them. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so these are my co-hosts, and I'd like to go ahead and talk to you a little bit about Shirley Carrillo. You remember Shirley? Yes, she is also a member of the Manchester Band of Pomo Indians and also Coast Miwok, which is very special because that's our neighbor down the coast. She's a traditional Pomo dancer, and she's a young activist leader. As you can see there in the picture, No More Hacking Squirt. She's been promoting environmental justice for the acorn tree for about 4 years now. She's pretty much grown up in this lifestyle, and she continues to be a role model to other children in the community. Thank you, Shirley. And then this is my son, DJ. He's also a member of the Manchester Point Arena Band of Pomo Indians and is Kashaya Pomo as well. David is a traditional dancer and an activist leader in his community as well. Thank you for being here. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So we wanted to just briefly talk about the old way of and things of how the Acorn process was taking place before. So as you can see, changed these days. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you guys just a couple of quick points about what used to happen in ancient times. Okay. So as you can see here on the slide that it says it's a staple food. We all know that. You think of Pomo, you think of acorn. You think of California Indian, you think acorn. I know I always have, and those things go hand in hand. So one important fact I'd like to say about what used to happen, well, 500 pounds were gathered by each family. Now, being a Native woman who's gathered before, to think about that number, 500 pounds, it's extreme. And you can imagine all the work and dedication that these women had that would go out and gather these acorns. You know, they'd have their kids involved. I know their sons, and my sons help me. And it's always good to gather little kids from the community because they do a lot of the picking for our elders. One important thing that I'd like for you guys to take notice to is there's a picture of an acorn there with the white bottom. Well, it could be the top. I call it the bottom. So that's how you can tell which is a good acorn and which is not. So when you guys are out there gathering this coming fall, I'd like for you guys to go ahead and take note that it's a guarantee your acorn's going to be good. Well, no holes, of course. You don't want any holes. But you definitely want to see that white cap right there. And if it has that, I'd go ahead and pick that up and put it in your basket. Next slide, please. Okay, so on this slide, actually, we have, when it was time to prepare meal, they shelled the acorns. Okay, so there we go. We have Essie Parrish there helping demonstrate that for us via that photo. So thank you for honoring her today. Yeah, so here we go. Here's what they would use. They cracked the acorn. I don't have any acorns here today, but here we go. We did already take our time. Go ahead, Shirley, and shell them. So you can go ahead and pull some out and show them right here. So this is what they're going to look like shelled. So that's okay. Yeah, next slide, please. Okay, so this is our winnowing time. So what happens after that in ancient times, they'd have this basket here, and this basket was made specifically for taking the skins off of the acorns. It has that circular shape to it, so when you blew onto the acorns wouldn't fly out, and all the skins would fly up, which it gets pretty messy, and we're going to show you that here in a few minutes. Next slide, please. Oh, great. Okay, so this is my favorite part. When we pound the acorn. Mortar and pestle over here. Thanks again to the Museum of San Ramon. And we are going to go ahead and show you a demonstration of how that used to happen. Yes, there you go. Now, how does that feel, Shirley? Can you imagine doing that all day long? Don't worry about it. Yeah, so can you imagine hours on end? And one quick thing, our people were, the Pomo people, coastal Pomo, were very superstitious. So we had many rules that came along with grinding. We couldn't just sit down anywhere and grind. We would have to have a certain shelter that we sat under. Kids weren't allowed to walk behind us or else fear of a thunderstorm to follow. So there was many rules and superstitions that went along with that. And today we want to honor our elders and ancestors who put those forth, but you know, times change, so here we go. Next slide, please. Oh, and this is a beautiful picture. Now, if you guys want to take a closer look there she is, my great aunt. She is doing the leaching process in its natural form. That was alongside a riverbank with sand. Walala River, yeah, there you go. And that's right where I live. So there she was. It's a beautiful, beautiful picture. I myself would love to have been able to watch somebody do this. This is, to me, the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. But my father actually was present on this day helping get the water to leach. So I'm very thankful for my dad for being there and having that knowledge and passing it down to me. Next slide, please. Okay. These are the hot rocks. This is the other part that we'll do today is boiling over the stove here. But this is the process that they used to use. They had a basket that was made specifically that can hold the water and that can hold the heat. They also had these special sticks that they use to put the hot rocks and place them in and place them out, rotating them as needed until the acorn mesh was boiled. Next slide, please. Thank you, and this is the finished product. This is the acorn mesh. As you can see there, they have the baskets made special just for that as well. Okay, thank you. Next slide. Oh, yes, so I just wanted to briefly talk again about the value of these tools. Special thanks again to the San Ramon Valley for donating the mortar and pestle. Having the proper tools to make the acorn mush in this traditional way has much more value than you think. For me, having a woman sit here and learn how to do this and take their time and really seeing how much dedication that took really shows me something. It really taught me something. Not only did it teach me patience, but it taught me how to provide for my family, things that I needed to know about, oh, why am I doing this? What is this for? This is for my father. This is for my son. This is for my daughter. why am I doing this? All this hard work. Yeah, and it was worth it. It was worth it. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we're going to move on to making the acorn. I just wanted to talk a little bit first about, you can go ahead and take that slide off if you can, and we'll come back to that. Thank you. So does anybody have any questions about anything that I said? I know I kind of went through really fast, but that was just a little brief history before we got into the modern day technique.
Yeah, Bernadette, I've had some questions come up through the chat and I've been
Great.
answering them, but I'll just
Sure.
give a couple that I've answered. Somebody asked, what is the soap root brush for?
Okay, so the soap root brush was used to remove excess powder that was left inside the basket or on the stone. Yeah.
Great. And then we have a question, what does leaching mean?
Okay, so leaching is the process, and I'm going to show you guys what that means today. But leaching is the process of running water, that might be a little loud, for running water through the acorn to rid it of its tannins. Yeah, tannic acids that could be very bitter and somewhat poisonous if left in. So
Great.
that's the process that happens.
And then people ask, does the variety of the acorn matter? Somebody was asking about, I think, live oak in their territory. So are all varieties edible?
Yes, so they are. There's over 18 oak species that are edible throughout California that were used. So today we're talking specifically about the tan oak tree, which is native to the coastal area where I live. But yes, there are similarities and there are some differences from what I've seen from my own personal experience. And, you know, this could, like I said, this is all just from my own journey of acorn. Some require more leaching time. So I think that's more time, the water running through the acorn to rid it of its tannic acids. That's the only difference that I've seen in the acorn. And besides, tan oak is a little bit better than them all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You said the tan oak is your favorite. And then Daniela also commented, I heard some flavors differ and some are sweeter. So another question that we had came out that was, this is a good one. During the leaching process, how did they keep the sand out of the acorn?
Okay, so during the leaching process, how did they keep the sand out? Thank you, that's a great question. So what they would do is they would place the acorn powder down and the sand would be smoothed out and patted down with water so it's a very smooth surface. They would lay carefully the acorn powder on top. They would sprinkle water using a buffer, which could be anything from a branch of a redwood branch, the leaves. They would sprinkle water over that so that nothing was being poured on. Nothing was actually being poured on so where the acorn would move. And they would do that process very carefully. They would just do it continuously, very carefully. And when it was time to remove the acorn, they would grab their fingers like this, place it on top of the acorn and carefully pull up. And then if there's any sand left on here, they'd take it over to another little basket and sprinkle water on that, and then it would wash away. They would actually do that over another basket. They would rinse the sand off over another basket. And from there, they would even remove the sand from what was left inside the basket. So nothing was gone to waste. They were very, very, very careful and very strategic. And I really admire everybody who came before me and the techniques that they used.
Yeah,
Thank you, that was a great question.
That was a great question. So this is going to kind of lead into the demo, and if your question did not get answered to the attendees, we'll have a Q&A at the end too. So this isn't your only chance. But this question: with industrialization, do Pomo people still continue to stick with traditions? For example, all grinding the acorn manually with the mortar and pestle, or do you rely on mechanism preparation?
Excuse, was that right now today?
Yeah, like do you still do it the old way, or do you use modern tools?
Oh, well, we do. I prefer the old way, but today we are going to use modern tools. Yeah, because we want to encourage people to do it. Maybe you don't have this, and like I said, they're very hard to come by. So yeah, today we would use modern tools. There was one step that today I'll be using a blender, but there's like a meat grinder. I've used a meat grinder. I've used a corn grinder from, you know, that was more toward, I guess, the Hispanic culture. So there's other tools that kind of came before the blender that we used and that my grandmother used. My grandmother, right, Deb, used the meat grinder. Yeah. So yeah, this is not the only way. This is a good way, but this is the way that I've seen refine the powder the most. This makes it the most floury than any machine or any tool that I've used. This one gets it to where it needs to be.
Awesome. Okay, and then one last question before we get into the demo. Will you show us the best way to leach the flour if we're not near a river? And yes, you will. You're about to, right?
Yes, I'm about to do that right now.
All right, let's get into the demo.
Okay, so if you want to just pop up that next slide, that's just going to go ahead and talk about everything that you're going to need. And this is mainly for when we're offline and anybody wants to go back on and check it out and don't want to listen to me talk, they can go ahead and take a look at this. It has everything you need and all the information, how much and what you will, what? Okay, well, you know what? I could go ahead and start and maybe we can review that after. That's fine too, Stella. Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay, so the ingredients we're gonna need. We are going to need 2 cups of bleached acorn and 4 cups of water. So that's after. We're gonna go ahead with the items needed to prepare that. So we're gonna go ahead and have 1 pot. DJ, can you bring that pot over here? So we're gonna have our 1 pot. We have 1 bowl. Shirley, we have a measuring cup. I can't see. 1 measuring cup, thank you. And we have our whisk. Thank you. And we have our blender. Our blender is in the back, and DJ can show you what that's to cook in. So today we're going to be, come a little closer, we're going to be using a Ninja blender because it's very sturdy and strong. You don't have to, but that's what I like to use. Guarantee it's going to work. Okay, and then we are going to have our spatula. We have a little spatula right there, Shirley. Thank you. Okay, and then we're going to have a cloth. Okay, so go ahead and show us our cloth. Now this is just a flour sack. This is what they call it at the store. So this is a flour sack. You can see it's really thin and light. This is what traditionally, I see your hand raised, Tisina, and we'll get to that question very shortly. This is the cheesecloth. Now this is what I've heard works the best. Yeah, so it's really thin. Yeah, whatever you guys prefer, whatever you can have, but you know what? A cousin of mine told me that he uses a t-shirt. Any t-shirt that he has, an old one that he doesn't use anymore. My sister has also used the t-shirt. So you don't have to, you know, get too technical. You don't have to have cheesecloth, although this is what I have here today, just to show you guys what that is. This is just this is thin, just like a t-shirt. It's not a bag, it's nothing else. It's just a thin piece of cloth. And that's actually what I'm going to be using today. Okay, and then we have our strainer, and this is our dish rack right here, Shirley. So this is what, actually Shirley's father, same guy who told me about the t-shirt, he told me about this little trick. So this is what we're going to use to leach our acorn in. And we do have a baking sheet, 1 baking sheet. And we have a blow dryer, which sounds a little strange, but I'm going to get to show you guys how and why. Okay, so here we are. We are moving on. I hope everybody's enjoying this. Oh, go ahead and get to that question. I can answer a couple questions if you'd like, Sheena.
Okay,
are you answering them? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've been typing in answers, but also someone brought up collecting rights, and this is kind of a deep question, but it's about how to provide guidance for non-native people in regards to gathering, and what your thoughts and advice are on that. and what kind of
Okay.
protocols that we could maybe touch on. And thank you for that question.
Okay. So I would love to talk more on that. Maybe we can go ahead and pull that question back after the demonstration, if
That's great.
fine. But just a quick answer to that would maybe consultate with a local native tribe in your area, or maybe you know somebody, or can, you know, figure out which tribe. And if you can't do that, what I would say is lay an offering down where you are. If you find a patch of acorns and you don't know a native person around, or, you know, don't have a way of contacting or asking, I would just definitely try to leave an offering. And whatever that is to you, whatever you think, you know, whatever means something to you, you can lay it down and just say thank you. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start. Okay. So we're going to go ahead. We don't need to put the slides up. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you guys. So step one, we are going to gather our cracked acorns and place them on a pan. So that's what we did already, Shirley. Shirley did that already. Okay, and the next thing we're going to do is remove the skin by blowing them off with the blow dryer. Now that sounds a little strange, but I'm going to show you why. Okay, so if you guys want to remember what we talked about with the winnowing basket, before you would have to use the basket and sit there and blow, 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 blow. And sometimes that can take a long time. Could take a very long time. So you remember that bowl of acorns? There's one quick step that's not in the slide. So when the skin is on, this is what it looks like. I don't know if you guys can really see that, if it's clear. So it's brown. That's with the skin. And this is without the skin. Okay? So when your acorns are dry, so let's say you crack your acorns, you put them in a pan here, and you put them out in the sun to dry. They will have the skin on them. You'll know they're dry, and I would leave them out 2 to 3 days in the sun, bringing them in at night. If you live in a wooded area, maybe the animals, you know, would attack them. They really like them. So bring them inside. You can put them under your wood stove, put them by a window where you get some good sun, but make sure you'll know they're dry when the skin comes falling off, just like that. So I like to put them in a bowl like this. Put them in a bowl, and I kind of just move them around in my hands. Try to get as much of that skin off as you can. So go ahead, and Shirley's going to do that for us. Yeah, so sometimes I just sit by the TV and I do that. I have a big basket full, and I'll just go ahead and start peeling the skin off. Okay, so here is some that I've already done that to. So Shirley's going to continue to do that. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this blow dryer right here. Okay, now it's going to get a little bit loud and a little bit messy. Okay, so, oh yeah, it's going to get messy in here. You guys ready? You guys can't see that. And voila, it's finished. So normally blowing that and stirring it around would probably take you about 15, 20 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. And if you got asthma, that might be problematic. So here we go. Now they're all cleaned off. Beautiful. Now we're going to move on to step 3, which is 2 cups of acorn. Okay, so DJ is going to come over here. He's going to grab our measuring cup. So this is a little bit weird. This is a little strange, you know, but I was just wanting to share some of my secrets with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Encourage everybody to, you know, try different things. You got to, I didn't know. I just one day said, man, I'm tired of blowing. This is not working quick enough for me. You know, I have a tight schedule. I have a lot of kids. I have a house to clean, kids to pick up, my dad to take care of. So we didn't really have a lot of time. So I just grabbed that blow dryer and bam, that was really easy. So we're gonna go ahead and grab our measuring cup. And my son is gonna go ahead and measure 2 cups of Acorn. Thanks for that, DJ. Oh, that's perfect now. Yeah, DJ. How long have you been gathering Acorn?
Well, since you discovered that it was like an issue going on with like RCU, like was it called RCU, right? No. Oh, shoot. I don't know. There was a redwood company cutting about Mendocino redwood company. I always get those confused. Ever since you discovered that as an issue, we got into the activism and you started bringing it more into your priorities of saving the acorns. I just started getting into it with her, you know, being like by her side, helping her gather and making it known that it's an issue.
Thank you. See, you got to lead by example. So that's right. Okay, so now these are going over to the blender. So we're going to bring the blender over here, actually. Might be a little easier. Okay. Okay. So there we go. Just pouring those acorns in. Okay, so we are going to blend these for about 1 minute on high until. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, okay, thank you.
How?
Okay.
No.
Okay. Oh, 1 second. We're going to figure that out. And Suzette, if you can come over here if you're familiar with this piece. That's okay. Okay, so we can see here that Shirley's been taking the skins off of this one. And she's almost finished. So then we can go ahead and start winnowing these ones. So if you want to put them on that tray, that's okay. Okay, well, you know, if we cannot get this. I don't know how to put it on.
You go like this.
Technical difficulty.
It's the outlet. So you need more like
Okay, so we figured it out and we got 1 minute. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and check what that did. Thank you, DJ. Oh, some technical difficulties, but we worked through that. Okay, DJ, we're going to go ahead and release that and go ahead and pour that into the bowl. And let's see what comes out, how it comes out. Pretty nice. Okay. Okay, so here we go. We are going to see how this worked out. I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit how much of this, how well this blender refined the acorn. So this is a little sifter. And you can see that it came out pretty good. Okay, so yeah, that did pretty good. And depending on how you like it, you can have a little grainy. I know I prefer mine a little bit grainy, and it also helps leach a little bit faster. Oops. Okay, so now the next step is we are going to boil some water. Oh, yes, but while we are going to leach it, I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. DJ is going to get 4 cups of water and get it on the stove for us. Thank you, DJ. Okay, Shirley, I know. So we're going to go ahead, and this is the tool we are going to use. This is the dish rack I told you about. This is the part, the leaching part, where we're gonna be removing the tannic acids. So we're gonna place our cloth right over the top. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna push this down like so. And if you could see, it has a bowl-like effect, okay? Okay, thank you. The next step we are going to do is we are going to take our acorn, and how much did we say we were going to use? We are going to use 2 cups, I think. 2 cups of acorn. So we're going to grab. Yeah. So we're going to grab some acorn here, like Shirley. So when you're leaching, you want to make sure at whatever surface that you have, you want to have at least 1 inch thick of acorn across the whole bottom. You can have 2, but it'll take a long time to leach, and depending on how much you're trying to make. If you're feeding a whole tribe, then you're going to have a larger space and a lot more acorn and a lot more leaching time. But today we're just going to make a meal maybe just for 4 people. So we're only going to have about 1 inch thick of acorn across the bottom. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and show you what that could look like. 1%. Oh, we might be experiencing some. Okay, perfect. Thank you. It's not charging properly. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Okay. So I'm going to go over to the sink right now. I think that my sister is going to go to her camera now. Stella, if you could switch over to Natalie's at the NSJC, so she can follow me to the.
Okay, I'll look for it. I can also switch over to the computer.
Okay. So, actually, we could try that. We could try the computer, Natalie, if you want to carry that over there. Okay, that's fine. We're going to go ahead and switch to the computer screen. You want to unmute that? Okay. Okay. Can you see me? Turn that one off. There we go. 1 second. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So here we go. We are going to start the leaching process. So we have about 1 inch thick of acorn across the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and put that right here into your sink. The good thing about the dish rack is it just fits right there. Perfect fit. Okay. So we're going to chuck this in. You can chuck this in. And you want to make sure that your dish area is clear, nothing's going to be there, and that your kids aren't going to be coming over here and messing with the water, because they like to do that a lot. I think you left something on and you meant to. So we're going to go ahead, if you can come closer, please. Here we go. We're going to fill this up with water. Okay. Make sure everything gets a nice rinse. Okay. Now, we have that going on. Now we're going to turn our water down. There you go. For a slight drip. Now you can let it be like that. Sometimes it just depends on how fine your acorn is. That let's go back over here. And then we're going to switch back to this camera, Stella, if that's okay, or whichever one works. If the other one's working fine, we'll stay there.
Let's stay on this one for now.
I don't know, can you, oh, you couldn't even hear none of that.
We could hear you. Sounded
Did you not have heard any of it?
We heard you. We heard you all.
Oh, good. Okay, so what's happening there, that's called the leaching process. We definitely want to let that water be running through for, it was depending on your acorn and how bitter, some people like it more bitter, I would suggest, and this is going to sound ridiculous, this is going to sound like a really, really long time, but this is a God honest truth. You got to let it leach for at least 8 to 12 hours. Very important. 6, yes, 6 is okay. The longer you let it leach, the less bitterness it's going to have in it. Especially if you're going to be feeding babies, if you're going to be feeding first-time acorn eaters, you want to make sure that that bitterness is gone, or else it will be turned off forever, I can guarantee you. The one thing that happened during this pandemic is I've been home a lot, and I had a lot of acorn left over from the Acorn Festival last year. So I was able to go ahead and work through it, try it out, try different times. How much acorn, how much water, all this happened over the last 3 months, and now I feel a little bit more confident to go ahead and share my techniques. So now I'm going to show you some acorn that's already been leached. Okay. Oh, one other thing I wanted to tell everybody was that the more flour-like your acorn is, the more the water is going to stay, and it's going to take a little longer for it to leach through. You kind of, if you want to hurry with the water, that you could have it a little more grainy, but it does require more water because it'll be leaching through faster. So if you do live in an urban area and you pay for water, unlike myself, so I don't really know, you know, I just let it run through all night. That's just how I am. But, well, I'm just saying, if you pay for water, you know, you could do a little less drip and make sure that your acorn is ground into more of a flour. So that's a tip for you guys out there in the urban Indian country. And then, so here we go. I'm going to show you what the leached acorn looks like.
Switching over.
Okay.
Switching over. Oh, see,
So this is what it looks like. Let me see. I don't know where the spatula went. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Oh, when it's all, can't see. It's too up. Okay, can't see. Okay, so here we go. Now, if our water is boiling, is the water boiling? DJ, almost. Can't see. There you go. So here's our water. It's almost to a boil, so we're going to go ahead and give that a couple more seconds to, yeah. Okay, so one little tip that you can do, which I like to do sometimes, is I get test it out and see, does it still have bitterness in it? Oh my God, I almost forgot to tell you guys that when you're leaching your acorn, it's very important that you mix it and turn it every so often. You could do it as much as you want, but I would say at least every hour that you're leaching it, go ahead and turn it. Make sure that the water is running through. This allows it to evenly leach through all the acorn, maybe some sitting a little tighter than the others in other areas. Don't move this around too much. Thank you. And yeah, so go ahead and do that. So I like to test my acorn. Thank you. And see if it's still bitter. No. Thank you. And it's good to test it from the bottom. You pull from the bottom because then you know. I test from both top and bottom. Okay. So our water's almost boiling here. Very hot. They're bigger. There we go. We moved it to a bigger burner for you guys. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and tell you guys how. We're going to tell you guys how you add the acorn in the water. So you might think that, oh, you just throw it in and let it boil. Well, no, no, no. There's very specific technique that you have to do. So we are going to have Shirley go ahead and come and help us do that. Okay. I'm Shirley. So the water is boiling, and we are going to go ahead and grab 1 spoon and the whisk. Right there, Shirley, is the whisk. So I'm going to show Shirley really quick, and then she's going to take over from here. So you're going to grab 1 spoonful at a time. It could be a small spoon, big spoon. We just happen to have this one. And we add it in the water. And you whisk, whisk, whisk. Whisk, whisk, whisk. Okay, then it's time to add a little bit more. Whisk, whisk, whisk. There we go. Add a little bit more. Okay, and you're going to keep whisking. So here you go. You can continue to do that. So this is going to happen for approximately 20 to 30 minutes. It's very important that you cook your acorn all the way through. Now, what I used today was 2 parts, 2 parts acorn, 2 parts water. So if I use 2 cups of acorn, I'm going to use 4 cups of water. Now, that's just something that I started just doing. I like to add or not add to that, depending on the texture, depending on what my father's likes that day. So sometimes he likes it a little chunkier, a little thicker. Sometimes he likes it more soupy. So it just depends. And you can go ahead and decide what works for you and what you like. Okay. So there goes Shirley. She's continuing to do that. And we can see what the consistency. Did you bring any of that already made?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
So, if you don't have
Okay, so while we are doing that, it's time for some questions.
Yeah, so we've had lots of questions coming through, and I've been answering them as we go, but I'll try to remember some of them that I answered. And one of the ones that came up that I wasn't sure, but Steffi asks, does the acorn after leaching have an aroma?
No. That's a really good question. Doesn't. Doesn't have much of a taste.
Yeah, someone asked about the taste, if it was earthy or sweet or
It's earthy.
Yes, it's earthy. Can acorn flour be fried like polenta?
I have never tried that. I haven't tried it, but definitely if you use the techniques that you've seen here today and you have an idea and creative spin on it, go ahead, and I would love to check it out.
Yeah, awesome. And does anyone commercially produce acorn? Is this done in other parts of the world or only in North and South America?
I believe that it is. I don't know. I know an Asian group does it. I'm not sure. Tisina, I don't know if you know exactly what group that is.
Korean communities do, and I haven't actually ordered it online, but I heard you can order acorn flour, and it's usually produced. I think it's produced in Korea, but like if you go to an Asian store, you might be able to find it, but it's definitely hard to find in a store. And that comes to another question somebody was asking before, if you or anyone you know sells acorn flour.
Not anybody I know, but you know, you never know. And this year's coming. It's November. You get to start sometimes September, October, but November, just depending on when the fall happens. I mean, the fall of the acorn. They're everywhere. They are everywhere. So I would suggest, and I hope that this kind of encourages people to get out there and try to do it. You know, this is, like I said, my 5th year. I'm learning as I go, and you know, it's pretty fun, and it's a great time with you and your kids, with you and your elders. And I know the elders really enjoy it. I know my father does, and you know, yeah, bringing back memories for him when he was a child. And I'm a 2nd generation from an acorn maker, so I never had somebody showing me. I didn't have my grandma, I didn't have my auntie. You know, this is just from your desire, you know, seeing, watching, and you know, like that. I just really wanted to talk really quickly about sudden oak death and what that is. So it's a disease. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but it's plaguing California oak trees. And the tan oak trees that are native to the coastal Pomo are going to be the most affected by it. 100% are said to or believed to be extinct within the next 50 years, maybe less. Now, what that means for us, that means a lot of things. That means this tradition could be gone. We will have other acorns to gather, but traditionally for us, for the coastal people, for the Coast Miwoks, that'll be gone. This spiritual food will be no more. So another thing is, not only do we have that disease happening, but we do, like my son was saying, the Mendocino Redwood Company, along with the Humboldt Redwood Company and other companies like that, they have been spraying the trees with herbicide. So they're purposely killing these trees because, in their own words, they have no value. And so they are ridding our forests of the remaining healthy 10 oak trees. So we're being hit from all angles. So my intentions of this demonstration are to go ahead and, my intentions of this demonstration is to promote and encourage Native youth and allies to take advantage of the benefits of this superfood, including infants 6 months and older. Thank you. And that's kind of what I had to share today. And there's a lot more to say about sudden oak death and educating people about, what's happening and what we can do. I'm a strong believer in our prayers and our songs of our people. And if there's anybody out there, any of my fellow natives who practice our ways and go to our ceremonies, I would please, and I ask you from the bottom of my heart to please mention in your prayers about these acorns, about the acorn, and hopefully that we gotta do our part. And if that's all we can do, then that's all we can do, and that's the best we can do. Thank you.
Thanks, Bernadette.
And there's one slide there. I don't know, it's the last slide if there's time, or if there's not, just talks a little bit about if you liked what you heard and you want to contact me and you have more questions, all my contact information is on there. And hopefully we'll be having our Acorn Festival happening again in October, late October, and I invite everybody to come on out. It's in Point Arena at the federal land that we are trying to acquire. Thank you. Come here, guys. Say bye.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks, DJ. Thanks, Shirley. Thanks, Bernadette. So everybody's saying thank you. I want to also recognize that we are at time, so if people need to jump off, that's fine. You can go ahead and do that. But we'll stick around for a few more minutes and answer some questions. And Adina and Abe had asked, can you guys see us? We can't see other people. And no, nobody can see you, but if you want to be seen, we can pull up your video and you can ask a question live. So
yeah, we'd like that. The kids would like that.
Does anyone want to be on video to ask a video question? Oh, it says, wonderful to see a Native family working together for food sovereignty and tradition. Thank you. Traditional knowledge.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then I just want to acknowledge too, this is a while back, but somebody gave a really great tip on water saving techniques for acorn leaching. So thank you for the participant who did that. And then people are asking to put Bernadette's contact info back up on the screen. Can we put that up, Stella?
Oh, they want their contact info.
Go ahead, put it on there. No, she put it on there.
Okay.
So we're also gonna, all this video information will be recorded and put on YouTube too, so you can always revisit this information. And there'll be a email sent out afterwards, and we're asking people if they could submit what is it called? A survey, and tell us what you thought about this, and give us a little bit more feedback on the presentation here. And then I can also include all of Bernadette's information in that, so you can contact her and get involved in the acorn ceremony that she produces, which is really beautiful up there.
Thank you, guys.
And other people said it was fantastic. And Stella, can we spotlight Bernadette's video again?
Oh, is it over?
Says, thank you from Pitt River Country. Remember watching my great aunt make soup. Great memories.
Thank you.
Oh, DJ and Shirley, while we're here, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What is your first memory of Acorn from when you were a little kid?
Probably yeah, I don't know. Probably since we were little, like when we go to like the New Year celebration or things like that at the Roundhouse, we've always had like warm acorn mush for the elders and things like that, you know, and the kids always got a taste of it, and it was kind of like a delicacy, and we were lucky to have it there and things like that.
What about Shirley? What's your first memory of Acorn? Oh, we can't hear you, girl.
I said I grew up around it, so ever since I was like little, I just always had it. Because my dad knows how to do it, and my aunt does it, so we just do it every so often.
Do you think it's?
So
Do you like it? Is it delicious?
Yeah. Better say that.
Okay, so we have. Thank you for bringing such a lovely demo to the public. I've learned so much. How do you gather acorns while giving love to animals in nature? How do you gather acorns while ensuring that squirrels and animals in the forest still have food? And thank you for giving your time and energy.
Oh, is it a question? Thank you. Yeah, so we leave the ones that have holes, and the animals enjoy those.
Yeah, and you know, like
And there's so many, and because we are restricted to gathering because of private property and no trespassing signs, we are very limited to what is actually available.
Yeah, there were some people that asked about, do you do any contemporary or modern dishes like make bread or other recipes with the acorn flour?
Well, my father does know how to do the traditional acorn bread making. I, on the other hand, am just learning how to perfect this dish itself, which is, it's kind of hard, and it's been 5 years, so I'm barely, not saying it's going to take anybody else that long, but yeah, so I am in the works of hoping to learn more and working, hopefully in contact with Chef Yazzie. He's supposed to
That's
come
awesome.
up with some contemporary,
Yeah, that's amazing. And we have a thanks from Idaho Purse Territory. So and other people out there.
Wow, thank you.
Let's see if I got any more questions up here. I'm sure there are some that I missed. If anyone wants to raise their hand or type another question in the chat, I'll get to you.
Yeah, sorry, my dad's looking.
Someone asked about to say again what DJ was saying about Bernadette's activism.
Oh, DJ. Oh, do you have DJ's name?
Oh, what was the question?
Can you talk a little bit about the activism that you and your mom and your tribe has done around saving the acorns, the 10 oak acorns in your area?
Yeah, so like the first thing that I went to was with a group called Earth First. They do a lot of activism for like not only acorn trees, but just like the environment in general. So my mom and we all kind of got together and brought the acorn issue, we brought it up to the community and we all worked together, and we started doing marches around places like Willits and Ukiah, like down to City Hall, and the Mattole Forest, things like that. We even one time we marched up to the Mendocino Redwood Company. It's like saying no more hack and squirt, things like that. And we carried this big log around for the redwoods. Like we carried it through the forest and things like that. It was pretty cool. It was a fun experience.
That's great, DJ.
We confronted them firsthand and everything.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for that work. So we have Tina who wants to ask a question. Tina, we can hear you if you unmute yourself, and you can ask your question live if you want to.
Yes, please. The question I had was, is it like the consistency of cream of wheat?
Sometimes.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And can
Cream
you,
of wheat, yes.
and can you add stuff to it, like cream of wheat? You can add sugar or cinnamon. You know, can you do that too?
You can, and it all depends on what you prefer. So this is what I made today, was in its raw form of just plain. Now, that's just how my father prefers it. I prefer it that way too. Once you develop that, once you taste it and acquire the taste for it, I'm not sure if you'd like anything else in it. But, you know, like I said, that's always open to your own preferences.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I muted. People have been asking about the downloadable coloring sheet, and we just dropped it into the panel, and other people are sharing it too. So thank you. And you can also go to Dance Mission. I think it's dancemissiontheater.org. That's correct, right, Stella? And find the Acorn coloring sheet there. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see the little Acorn, the little thumbnail of the picture, and it's connected to there. It's also on this Facebook event page and the Eventbrite too. You'll see a link that we added there. So if you missed that, and I sent an email earlier today, there's also a live link with the Acorn coloring sheet that you can download there. So let's see if I have a question for DJ. DJ, do you know the best way to store acorns, and is it best to store them whole or to grind them into flour first?
Wait, can you repeat the question? Sorry, it was like echoing.
Yeah, what is the best way to store acorns? Can you store them whole or in flour, or which one is better?
Well, we normally we store them in the shells, like in buckets and things like that, because it makes it easier to like contain them from animals, like outside, if you want to keep them outside, because they can take up a lot of space in the house. But if they're already cracked, we usually keep them indoors just to like ensure that none of them get lost or thrown around or things like that.
Yeah, or get moldy. Sometimes they get moldy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and animals could eat them. Also, people have been asking about metal pots. So traditionally we would cook in a basket, or we'd cook in a basket with hot rocks, right? And stir the rocks into the acorn meal. Does a metal pan affect the flavor?
I don't know. I honestly haven't had it out of a basket. You know.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. So, and like, you know, there's like, I always wonder, if it tastes different from river water, you know, fresh river water running through compared to faucet water, you know. So I haven't had that luxury of knowing that either, but I do know, yeah, I'm sure it does vary.
This is another question that somebody reminded me of when they asked a while ago. When they said our ancestors were preparing acorn the old way, and they used to sit by the river and leach it through sand. Would they do that for 8 hours?
No, I think they would fill up the sand bowl, and it took less time, you know, through the sand, leaching the water through the sand. It held the water because they put rocks around it. So it kind of was like a pool, and it kind of took its time to leach through. So I'm not sure. My dad said 4 hours for that on the river.
Oh, it's amazing. So your dad has seen his family do it before like that?
Yeah, there's actually a video, a documentary from UC Berkeley, and my father is the little boy grabbing the water to leach the acorn for S.C. Parrish.
Oh, that's your dad?
Yeah.
That's a great video. We can also send that link to that video out to people in the email that we send. So we'll send the survey form. We'll send information on how to get in contact with Bernadette and support her Acorn Festival and the work that she's doing with environmental activism in her area to protect the tan oak acorn. And then we can also send resources like that, the video. And then somebody asked, Kenneth asked, he said, thanks so much. Are there any books on this?
Yeah, there are. And Tisina, you had your grandmother's book.
Yeah, that's one of them.
There it is. One of them. Yeah. Yeah, she's our relative from Kashaya. Very honored to meet her and yeah, learn under her basket. I'll just show you real fast. I made this in Yosemite with her grandma.
Awesome.
My prized possession.
It's so beautiful, Bernadette. Yeah. Anita says, oh my God, wow. Okay, so I think we tried to get through most of the questions. Beautiful basket. And it says, Bernadette, thank you for inviting us into your home and sharing your family with us. Thank you. I'm Selenin from Slow County, and I'm excited to try this method.
Yeah, please do. Let me know. Email me, tell me, if you have any questions, tell me how it went. I'm very excited to see how many people this reached and who's tried it. Like, I really encourage everybody to try it.
Yeah, great. So I just want to say thank you, and thanks everyone for coming. This was really fun. And Bernadette, thanks for being brave and just weathering through the technical difficulties. You did awesome.
Thank you. Ours too. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was really fun.
I want to thank my sister Yolanda actually for letting me use her kitchen, and my sister Natalie for all her support, technical support for me.
Yeah. Thanks Shirley and DJ for being there too.
Oh yeah.
Nice to see you. So, all right. Well, we're gonna sign off. Thank you everybody. Thanks for coming and attending this, and